is why Bethesda was never that great by Big Boss. Again, this was posted a month before 2020, so this is pretty dated. You know, a lot of issues are like most likely resolved, but you know, it's good to take a look back and see what really happened.
The last few years have not been kind to Bethesda. It wasn't that long ago that they were being praised as one of the best developers in the industry, and Todd hailed the mighty God Howard.
Yep.
Fast forward a few years, and here we are. Players deceived, refunds denied, helmets moulding. First it was the paid mods, then the ungodly launch of Fallout 76, and then everything else. Fans could not believe what they were seeing.
Yeah, now I did talk a bit about Fallout 76 at the start of the stream, and yeah, I highlighted a lot of the issues that were just spoken about, like, you know, friggin'
Ungodly launch.
the disastrous launch of 76, obviously. Oh shoot. Yeah, the Nuka Dark issue. And there are a few others. So yeah, not a great time for Bethesda when all of this was going down. So, yeah. Not great. Let's just say that.
Bethesda had fallen.
Yeah.
This downward spiral was free entertainment for some, a heartbreaking loss of $60 for others. Not only
Yeah, and also about that little
entertainment for some, a
yeah, about this too, like
heartbreaking loss of
the dude that destroyed the GameStop. The thing was, it wasn't entirely. I just realized that my entire stream window was up, so everybody outside probably was hearing me. I don't know. But yeah, the thing was, for this little situation, you know, where this guy destroyed GameStop, it wasn't necessarily Bethesda's fault. It was just GameStop's own policy, where the dude would have just gotten trade credit for 76, even though it was like recently released. So yeah, that was just their store policy. That's always been the problem with GameStop.
of $60 for others. Not only a loss of $60 and possibly $300 in some years of your life if you happen to purchase one of the moldy red power armor helmets, but also the loss of one of
I didn't hear about like the mold inside of the red power armor helmet.
life if you happen to purchase one of the moldy red.
Yeah, that's not good. That just shows you that like, they didn't have any sort of quality control for for like these products in particular. I think it might have just been like the red one, but yeah, that's not good for, especially if it was black mold, which, you know, black mold is actually able to do serious harm to people. So
red power armor helmets, but also the loss of one of the last decent game developers. It was a sad day.
yeah.
But wait, were Bethesda ever the saints they're often remembered as? There's no doubt that they made some good games over the years, but the old Bethesda also had a big part in creating the modern microtransaction market, dabbled out with some harsh treatment of a license.
Yeah, the Oblivion horse armor. That was the first one. That was one of the first microtransactions ever made. And yeah, that started like a long spiral of just like, you know, first it was Bethesda, then I think it was like EA with Ultimate Team for both Madden and FIFA. And then like a few other companies hopped on the train, and you know, like we then had like the actual first, you know, loot boxes. I don't think it's fair to say that the loot boxes started in Overwatch, but they were the most prominent there. And pretty much, you know, air quotes, surprise mechanics, as you know, EA dubbed them, became an essential part of gaming for like quite some time, essentially. Yeah, that was not like the whole loot box microtransaction thing. It was not a fun time to be a gamer. Let's be completely honest. But hey, you know, loot boxes aren't really that much of a aren't that commonplace nowadays. You know, they've been replaced with actual like item shops ever since Fortnite. But yeah, loot boxes were not a fun time.
Licensed company, indirectly causing 30-odd layoffs as a result, and a few petty lawsuits over brand protection. And you've got some pretty dodgy moves from Todd and the boys. But before we get into those, something I'm sure you're all familiar with.
Oh no.
It's no secret that game director Todd Howard has invested pretty
Sweet
heavily into
little
his speech.
It allows us to have 16 times the detail.
Let me see those choices again. The game will be severely broken at launch. Speech 100. Speech 100. Why? It allows us to use 16 times the detail. There will be no refunds. Oh my god, I love that so much.
It allows us to have 16 times the detail.
Success. The crowd cheers unanimously.
The man's lies are infamous. The most famous example of Todd's sly tongue was probably at E3 last year, when he made some very interesting promises for the latest Fallout.
As a matter of fact, you'll never even see a server when you play.
And pretty much, like, yeah, it's supposed to be 16 times the detail, but it looks only like slightly better than Fallout 4. That's not if that's not saying a whole bunch, because you know. Yeah, Fallout 4 isn't really the most great when it comes to graphics, but hey, at least you know. I don't know, like 76 didn't look that great. I mean, like, yeah, you had like a bunch of low poly textures like this, still like rampant in the game when it first released. Keep in mind, I didn't play 76 when it first released, but from what I saw, there were a bunch of texture issues. Yeah, obviously there were server issues. One of the only things that worked was the Atomic Shop, and even that, you know, wasn't, you know, bug proof.
But these false promises...
Yeah, I mean, they were right. You would never see the server, because guess what? Half the time you disconnect from them.
But these false promises were never exclusive to Fallout 76. If you look hard enough,
Yeah.
you can trace Todd's web of lies all the way back to Oblivion, when in 2005, he told everyone that Oblivion's NPC AI was radiant and unscripted.
Let's take a look at the other side of the game, our new Radiant AI system. These NPCs are not scripted.
May you rest in peace.
Yeah, that's
People were excited.
that was cap. That was major cap. Dude, if you haven't seen, like, on YouTube, there's, like, multiple compilations of freaking Oblivion and Skyrim, NPCs. Bro, it's the most obvious, you know, like, scripted, it's like the most obviously scripted interactions between NPCs. So, yeah. The fact that they were air quotes radiant was complete garbage.
The day that they could jump into the game and witness this space age AI for themselves. But unfortunately, the NPCs were not quite as intelligent as Todd had suggested. The fact that they all aligned to G-strings also didn't help much. 1 year after Oblivion released, Bethesda purchased the rights to the Fallout IP, and Todd announced that Fallout 3 would have 200 different endings.
As of last week, we're over...
I didn't even like realize that until recently, that it was, that, you know, it was, again, supposed to have 200 quote-unquote endings, when in reality, like, in reality, the base game was like a hard end to the game if you didn't have Broken Steel. And pretty much, yeah, it didn't have like the fabled 200 endings. It only had like a few. It only had like, God, like what, 2, 3, maybe, like in the base game. Yeah, it was not all those set out to be.
200 endings. That is not an exaggeration.
In reality, there'd be
It
three.
was.
A few different
Yeah,
ways to
3.
go about getting them, and then lots of slight variation with the ending slideshow, depending on your karma and side quest choices during the game. After having just perfected AI, Todd now looked to improve quests. They would also become radiant, meaning that they could be redeemed infinitely, until the end of time. Once again, this was technically correct, but these quests
Keep in mind, like, Fallout 4 has a massive amount of radiant quests, and yeah, they are never ending to an extent. I mean, there are a few radiant quests that have like, that obviously have like their endpoints where you get a certain like a certain reward for doing it enough times, but bruh, it's just a lot of times they're just like incredibly tedious.
ended up being what was essentially the exact same quests, but in different areas of the map. He also mentioned a local economy system that could be affected by the player damaging a town's production lines. If you actually Google this, multiple forum posts can be found, written by a handful of people spending their first hours of Skyrim burning down a sawmill in an attempt to cripple the local economy.
Nope.
It never worked. Also, this never happened. Then, during E3 2015...
That's what they have the modders for. Even though I don't think any modders have actually dived into, actual, ruining economic system. I mean, they could have. But, I might remind myself to check to see if that actually happened. I don't think it did, but hey.
Todd made the bold claim that Fallout 4 just worked.
All of this just works. It works. It actually works perfectly.
Yeah, that was hard, Cap. Dude, this is coming from somebody that played Fallout 4, I think it was like day one on my brother's Xbox One. Dude, there were problems. Let's just leave it at that. There were problems in the game. Like when it first released, like, dude. Oh my god. Fallout 4 was playable. It was playable when it first released. There were just a lot of bugs, man. And none of them were fun to deal with. Let's just say that. None of those bugs were any fun to deal with.
And he would of course go on to continue the trend at E3 last year for Fallout 76.
16 times the detail. All new rendering, lighting, and landscape technology. Of course, you can play this solo. You'll be who you want. You'll never even see a server when you play.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he was right about never seeing a server, because guess what? Half of the time you have disconnected from it. They did fix the servers along with, like, a majority of other things, like, several years down the line, but, bro, when the game first released, that was rough, dude. That was rough. Oh my god. But yeah, in regards to like 16 times the detail, yeah, you got something to
And landscape.
You got something to tell us, Todd? Something that yeah, this is supposed to be 16 times the detail. I mean, I would say the draw distance was improved from Fallout 4, but I don't think it necessarily really matters when the world looks like, looks like something you would draw in MS Paint, pretty much. I mean, just look at this, dude. Look at this. This is not 16 times the detail. This is negative 28 times the detail, dude. Come on. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Landscape technology. Of course, you can play this solo.
Yeah, I mean, you could play it solo, but it wasn't easy, and to an extent, it still isn't easy. It's still advised that you play it with like either two or either yourself and a friend, or just like up to like 3 other friends. Yeah, it's ill-advised. It was ill-advised, but hey.
Be who you want. You'll never even see a server when you play.
Disconnected from server.
Some argue that Todd's long list of lies over the years were features that were going to be in the game, but couldn't be finished in time for launch. But whichever way you look at it, for the last 14 years, Todd has had a very special way with words. Who knows what Todd has planned for their next release?
Not good. Oh, the horse armor. Yep, this was the
Back again to 2000.
first microtransaction ever put into a game. It started a whole laundry list, a whole spiral of crap, essentially.
2006, and Bethesda had just released Oblivion. It was their best-selling game at the time, selling almost 2 million copies in the first 20 days of release, and things were looking pretty good. It
Yep.
didn't just sell well either. Oblivion was pretty much praised by critics across the board, and believe it or not, even praised for its graphics at the time. A very foreign concept for any modern Bethesda title, even though the
Oh my god, dude. What the fudge?
very foreign concept for any modern Bethesda
Ugh, that just makes me ill looking at. Jesus Christ.
title. Even though the NPCs
Oh,
weren't
purple.
exactly what was promised, they still
Oh my
worked.
god, what the?
Occasionally. But anyway, the game sold well and people liked it. But then, everything changed. Just a
Horse
month after
armor.
launch, they released something for $2.50. Something so small, something so trivial, that they wouldn't hear the end of it for years to come. A few pieces of armor for your in-game horse. The armor
Yep.
didn't even protect the horse, it just made it look a bit cooler.
It dripped out the horse.
Protect the horse, it just made it look a bit cooler.
Oh, he dripped out the horse. Oh my god. Wow.
Making DLC like this at the time wasn't very common, especially for a game as big as Oblivion, and people were not happy.
Yeah, it was not a popular choice to have. And, you know, barely any developers ever actually got into it. Now you see today, pretty much every piece of, you know, not even downloadable content, but, you know, microtransactions are just freaking everywhere, dude. They're in every sort of game. So like you went from people hating horse armor to, you know, it being like microtransactions being everywhere essentially.
But Bethesda kept on releasing these pricey DLCs, although the rest were more reasonable. Other developers took note of what Todd and the team had pulled off here, and here we are today.
Yep. Oh my
Fallout
God.
3 and the original Skyrim missed out on the Oblivion treatment, but these
God.
microtransactions would later return in the form of the Creation Club for Fallout 4 and Skyrim Remastered. One of the first items on sale was $3 horse armor.
To be fair, the Creation Club did get a little bit better, but people were still not happy about having to spend money to get things that were most often or not, you know, found in the form of, you know, PC and Xbox One mods. Yeah, I'm sorry for my PlayStation people out there. You got shafted. I mean, I played on PlayStation back then, and even I got shafted to some degree. But, you know, yeah, not really fun for those people. But yeah, people were not happy about the Creation Club at first, but it did get a little bit better.
Also, a fun fact about the Creation Club, when new mods were added and updates, every mod was installed directly onto your hard drive, regardless of whether you actually purchased it or not. When you actually went to buy the mod, you were just paying for a tiny ESP file that
Dude, that is ew. That's disgusting, man. But the thing is, you want to know something? For console, I don't know if he's gonna get into this, but I'm gonna say it. For console, Creation Club space would take up your actual mod space. So, let's say you know, you had 2 gigabytes of mod space on Xbox One for Fallout 4, right? So, if you got like a majority of things you'd find on the Creation Club at some point, you would probably only have like 1.5 gigs in all actuality, because what the meter didn't show you was that a majority, like a chunk of your space, would be dedicated to actually getting Creation Club mods. So yeah, that was a big problem. Not a whole lot of people spoke on it, because I don't think a whole lot of people knew. I knew. I figured it out. And let's just say I was not very pleased to figure that out. But hey.
unlocked the mod files. This bloated everyone's hard drive with multiple gigabyte mod updates every month, and with a little know-how, you could create these ESP files yourself. Some more ingenuity from the development team at Bethesda.
I think that's I don't know how Bethesda would be able to enforce. I don't think they could necessarily. Bugs. Yep, this is Fallout 4.
One of the immediate thoughts
76,
anyone
I'm pretty
has
sure.
after hearing the very word Bethesda is the onslaught of bugs thrown your way the moment the game
Oh my
boots.
god.
Just type in Bethesda bugs on YouTube and you'll find hundreds of compilations of these small technical hiccups. The most common bugs include dodgy AI, corrupted game saves, game crashes, texture errors, mod
I don't think I ever got a corrupted save in Fallout 4. Like, realistic, I don't think I ever did. From the amount of times I played that game, I don't think I ever had to deal with having any of my saves corrupted. I mean, for Fallout New Vegas, that happened like one time when I played on PS3. But yeah, I don't know. Well, then again, PS3. I think it was. What's the PS3? Because PS3 had the thing where if the console's shut off for whatever reason, it could actually recover and repair corrupted files. So was it? I don't remember. It could have been. It could have been PS3. It could have been PC. I'm not sure. But what I do remember was I did get a corrupted save in New Vegas and I had to start again. So that sucked. But hey.
errors, physics errors, clipping errors, flying enemies, sinking enemies, and Muscle Man. And that's not even really scratching the surface.
Sometimes it doesn't just work.
You don't say. They also forgot to cut out some voiceover mistakes in Oblivion.
I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night. Wait a minute, let me do that one again.
Oh my god,
I
no.
heard
Oh no! You can't keep something like that in the game, no. Oh no, that's not good, man. Oh shoot. Oh, that's really bad. That's real. Oh my god. You gotta make sure to cut things like that out. Oh, damn, man, that's rough. Ugh.
The thieves broke into the Arcane...
That and the characters swapping voices halfway through their dialogue.
I could be banished for telling you.
Okay, I'll show you.
What
The games
the
are buggy, and
yeah.
Fallout 76
Oblivion was just not great. That was, bro, that was really bad.
was of course no different. I've actually read multiple Reddit posts claiming that Bethesda's recent patches for the game are bringing in more bugs than the ones they're fixing. There's also an audio bug that has been fixed multiple times at this point, and some people are still saying it's in the game. Bugs are a consistent feature of Bethesda's.
Yeah, dude, I think I remember, like, one of the, like, there was like a gun sound effect glitch in Fallout 4, I'm pretty sure. Where, I think it was with the minigun. Where, I think I only experienced it once, though. Because, it was when, like, you went to the Museum of Freedom to save Preston, right? And you got the power armor, you got the T-45, and you got the minigun as well. So, I think it was just like a one-off thing for me, but when I first played that, there was a problem with the minigun audio where it just sounded like it was like... It sounded like you were firing the minigun from like... from miles away, essentially. It didn't sound like, you know, you were firing it from, you know, like... from up close, pretty much. You get what I'm saying, right? It just... That was a glitch that I encountered, pretty much. Oh god, that was really hard to get out. I apologize.
Games. And many people in turn blame the engine the games run on. As of 2019, Bethesda's games run on an engine that's core is now actually old enough to drink, as pointed out by a gent in one of my comment sections. I've looked into the whole game engine argument, and the common consensus is that the age of an...
Yeah, the creation. It was originally the Gamebryo engine, but they they made like a lot of changes to it, and they air quotes evolved it to become what they now call the creation engine. And yeah, like friggin' Fallout 4, 76, Skyrim, they're on it. Starfield is also on it, which, you know, allows them to make modding better, but, you know, still there's still a crap ton of glitches and bugs and stuff, so yeah, probably not the best choice to ship Starfield on, you know, creation engine, considering the scale that's supposed to have. Yeah, not necessarily a great choice, honestly. If they had forgone the creation engine for Starfield and just used something like Unreal, I feel like it would have been much better. Just saying. And plus, you know, Unreal is an engine where you can it's like a moddable engine as well. So making mods for it, you know, making a system for console mods, that wouldn't be so difficult to do. Just saying.
Engine isn't necessarily a problem, providing you've got a team of software engineers who can efficiently update and optimize it. I mean, Rockstar's game engine for GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 is a heavily upgraded version of an engine that was used for their 2006 ping pong game. The engine's still perfectly capable. That's right, this game right here is running on an engine from this game here.
Yep, I'm pretty sure it's the same engine that GTA 4 in the first Red Dead game, well, the first Red Dead Redemption game were on. So yeah, they've been using it for like the longest time, and guess what? It's still like a very, like, the games are still very good.
Well, how the f*** do you explain this shit, Todd? Judging by their last two games, Bethesda doesn't quite have the same level of proficiency in their software development team. The current engine being used, the Creation Engine, is a heavily upgraded version of the 1997 NetImmerse engine, which was the core engine used to make every game from Morrowind to Fallout 76. Others claim that Bethesda don't put enough work into bug testing.
Wait, so I think, yeah, no. I think the engine for Morrowind became Gamebryo, I think, and then Gamebryo became, because Gamebryo was the engine used to make Oblivion, Fallout 3, and, you know, an upgraded version of that engine was used for New Vegas. And then I think they took the New Vegas version, they upgraded it even more and made the Creation Engine. I could be wrong, but I think that's how the upgrades went, pretty much.
But regardless of how the bugs actually get in there, the worst part about them is that they always end up staying, because Bethesda rarely ever bother to patch them out. There are still hundreds of known bugs in Skyrim, and even the recent Skyrim Remastered, and modders have been left to do Bethesda's dirty work. Bethesda know these bugs exist, but they still just sort of stand there like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, they don't care.
So basically, for the last 14 years, every single one of Bethesda's games has been a massive buggy mess, left to be fixed for free by avid fans who just wanted to go 5 minutes in their game without being launched into the stratosphere. Apparently.
Yeah, that still happens when you go up against a giant. You still get launched. You still get launched like fast enough to break the sound barrier, essentially. That's still a massive issue. And yeah, it's still in the game. It's still in Skyrim to this day. They did not care enough to actually fix it. Keep in mind, it's still hilarious when you get launched into the air like that. I'll admit that.
That was too much to ask. Some see it as the game is being made more accessible and efficient. Others call it dumbing down and streamlining. Whichever way you look at it, you can't really argue that Todd hasn't been flushing away features for the last 14 years. A good example of this is the development of Fallout's progression system. Fallout 3's progression had depth and was
and also, like, I think he's going to get into it.
Pretty consistent to the original two Fallouts, including the special attributes, skills, and perks. Then for Bethesda's next Fallout, Todd went with the less is more approach and thought, let's integrate skills and perks into the special attribute table. For Fallout 76, Todd just said, you know what, just give him a pack of cards. Okay.
So he didn't get into it. So, for the dialogue, you went from having, like, I think up to 8 choices for like dialogue in New Vegas and 3 to just having like 4 options. Because guess what? Mass Effect is popular. So why not throw their dialogue system into this game, right? And dude, even Mass Effect had like more than just 4 options for dialogue. I think they had like up to 6, but dude, just I'm just saying, they stripped a whole lot of potential with Fallout 4 because, oh god, you're just forced to have like 4 choices. You know, you could either have the good response, the bad response, the neutral response, or the more inquisitive response. Which even still, you're forced to pick like the first 3 anyway. So. Yeah, that stripped a whole lot of potential for Fallout 4 away, and pretty much, yeah, it's still left in that sort of state. So that was not ideal in the long term. But hey, oh, okay.
Compared to the older Fallouts, Fallout 4 also had much simpler dialogue.
Yeah.
So much so that 2 of the most popular mods for Fallout 4 actually reverted the dialogue tree to the original format and
Yeah, but still, you have like the 4 options when in the older games you had like up to like what 7, 8. Yeah, still not great, dude.
removed the characters' voiceover lines. Also, the dialogue choices themselves pretty much equated to saying yes 3 times with different layers of paint, and then the option to ask a question. As opposed to the much more complex New Vegas style of dialogue. The repair feature was removed. There was
again, good, bad, neutral, inquisitive. Those were the only options. And yeah, that just made it feel really just ugh. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy Fallout 4. I just wish it didn't have that sort of like I just wish that it had like a better dialogue system, because god.
was no karma system, and side quests no longer added to the ending slideshow. There also wasn't much room to play as an evil character either, which was a staple in previous releases, and so on. People felt like there was a lot missing.
Yeah, you had to be the good guy. And like even in Fallout 3, where you were like forced to be the good guy too, even still, you could find ways to be like a villain in that game. But for Fallout 4, you were kind of just like forced to. I mean, like, you could argue that you could play as the Institute and just be a villain that way, but even still, that it's not really that, like... I mean, you still have to make altruistic choices throughout the game, so... Yeah, Fallout 4 had a lot of issues, and it still does. It's still a good game. It's just, like... Yeah, it's rough. Uh-oh. Lawsuits and contracts.
Although we all paint him as the villain, Todd isn't really the one who pulls the strings. The real decisions are made by the people at ZeniMax Media, who are the parent company of Bethesda Softworks, who are the parent company of Bethesda Game Studios. Ever since ZeniMax was set up in 1999, it's been caught up in a number of lawsuits, many of them quite questionable. For starters, Bethesda Softworks started out in the 80s developing sports games, with a game called Gridiron in 1986 being...
Dude, I didn't even know that. Wow. So, they originally made sports games. That's interesting to note.
The game the company was built on. One of the key players behind the early Bethesda games was a guy called Chris Weaver, and after the success of Bethesda's early games, Chris approached a lawyer named Robert A. Altman. Together they co-founded ZeniMax in 1999, with Weaver in charge of the games and Altman in charge of the business. 3 years later, executives gathered round the high table at ZeniMax and voted to flush Chris out of the business. A pretty cutthroat decision considering it was the man who partially built the company. And then there was Bethesda's contract with Obsidian Entertainment for Fallout New Vegas. After the immediate success of Fallout 3, Bethesda wanted to capitalise on another Fallout release. They licensed Obsidian, a development team comprised of ex-Fallout 1 and 2 developers, to create a spin-off Fallout on Bethesda's flawless game engine. Obsidian were then given 18 short months to develop the game. They were paid up front by Bethesda for the development, and signed a contract that meant they only receive royalties on the game if it
Yeah, also keep in mind, Obsidian wanted to actually make another Fallout game, and even an Elder Scrolls game very recently, but Bethesda kind of axed that decision And yeah, they just. I'm just saying, another game like New Vegas, especially an Obsidian take on Elder Scrolls, those would have gone so hard, but apparently it's not meant to be.
Reached a score of 85 on Metacritic. New Vegas fell short of the royalty requirement by 1 point, hitting 84, and thus no royalties were sent their way. That, coupled with Microsoft cancelling a 7-month deep project with them, ultimately resulted in 20 to 30 layoffs from Obsidian staff. Bethesda has also been extremely aggressive in their marketing and branding practices, waving around hefty lawsuits to companies and fans over brand protection. They threatened Mojang with a lawsuit in 2012.
Oh, dude, I forgot that Mojang had a game called Scrolls. I totally forgot all about that, because the only thing I know Mojang from is, well, obviously Minecraft, because, yeah, Minecraft is just, like, Minecraft is what really propelled Mojang, and yeah, there's still big players in it today, even though a few of the people who founded it are out of the company now, especially after the Microsoft merger. I'm pretty sure, so that sucks, but hey.
Due to Mojang naming a game Scrolls, and more recently, a small indie developer had problems because their game was titled Pray for the Gods. In both cases, the names had to be changed.
But will Scrolls change too? Hang on. Caller's Bane. Alright. Interesting.
Cases, the names had to be changed.
Yeah, it's not a great type. It's not a great name for a game, just saying.
Just over a year ago, Bethesda released Fallout 76, and the lid finally blew. A decade of frustrations and complaints, all neatly packaged into one $60, barely functioning online experience. Fallout 76 had it all. The lies, bugs, crashes, microtransactions, awful PR.
Yep.
It was glorious. Todd's finest creation.
Bro. Those visual glitches are not it, Chief.
Magnum opus. But people weren't happy with it, and now, over a year after its release, people are somehow even less happy with it. Bethesda has made some good stuff over the years.
Again, this was posted 4 years ago, I should probably say that, and the game has changed quite significantly. So, I mean, people are, I'd say people are, more positive towards Fallout 76 now, but, yeah.
But you'd be wrong to say that they were ever the god-tier developer they're often remembered as. If you look at the last decade and a half's worth of actions from the company, their recent actions seem to be reasonable progression. And as much as the executives at ZeniMax are to blame, Bethesda's PR and development teams really don't help themselves. The infamous tales of how they handled the canvas bags, the refund denials, the banning of innocent players, and some of this stuff is still going on. A few weeks ago, Bethesda banned one of Fallout 76's most loyal players, who'd gone out of his way to develop an online interactive map of the game, and also found and reported bugs to Bethesda.
What? Just for making a interactive map, you get God, dude, they suck. Oh my god.
Develop an online interactive map of the game, and also found and reported bugs to Bethesda. Also, releasing a video called Save Player 1 a year before they took their traditionally single-player game online. Wasn't the brightest idea, but Bethesda will learn from this though, right? How can they not learn from this whole thing?
I'm pretty sure.
Well, if recent events are anything to go by, it doesn't look like they have much interest in putting out the flames currently engulfing their public relations. And if Fallout First is anything to go by, it looks like they're actually having a good time making it worse. But the hopeful fans of this very confused company will continue to watch from the sidelines as they run about rapidly, throwing atomic shop sales and dodgy bug patches around until the next groundwork is finally revealed. With one man, and one man alone, knowing whether it will be worthwhile or just another big fat lie.
Yep. Well, I mean, I will say this. 76 did improve for the better, so I mean, they did atone for their sins with that, or they are atoning for their sins with that game. As for Starfield, with mod support just released, I'd say a few weeks ago, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see, man. We'll just have to wait and see what will happen in the future. Then again, this was released 4 months ago, so everything's looking on the up and up. I hope it stays that way.